In Kamala's defense, I think that every time she does an interview, we gain about 100,000 votes.
The Trump campaign renewing its focus on battleground states here in the West as Democrats bring in new star power, trying to drum up support in the closing days of this election.
And going into this election, the spotlight is on us more than ever, and I think it's important to use your voice. So I'm encouraging everybody to get out and vote, please.
And good evening, everyone. Welcome to West Coast Wrap. I'm Alex Savage. 2 weeks until Election Day, and we're seeing both major presidential campaigns strategizing to win votes in the crucial battleground states here in the West. The Republican vice presidential nominee made campaign stops today in Tucson and Peoria, Arizona. Ohio Senator J.D. Vance used part of his speech in Peoria to make promises about how former President Trump will boost the economy.
We're going to fight to lower grocery and housing prices for all of us. We're going to get back to an affordable American nation. And the second thing, and especially for our seniors, is that Donald Trump, we're going to eliminate taxes on Social Security so that our seniors can afford to live a good life.
Senator Vance will visit the battleground state of Nevada tomorrow. The Trump campaign says he intends to speak to crowds in Reno and Las Vegas. The top of the GOP ticket will head west later on this week. Former President Trump is planning to make stops in Arizona and Nevada on Thursday. He'll hold a rally in Tempe on Thursday afternoon, and then another rally is planned for Thursday night in Las Vegas. The former president put the focus on Latino voters today as he took part in a roundtable discussion with Latino leaders in Doral, Florida. During the talk, he slammed the Biden administration's handling of the economy and issues at the border.
I think the economy is bad, but I think and it's made really bad by the horrible inflation. But I really think that the biggest problem this country has is what they've allowed to happen to us on the border.
Now, Democrats will be focusing on battleground states here in the West coming up later this week. Vice presidential nominee Tim Walz is planning to stop in Arizona and Nevada over the weekend. His visit to the Grand Canyon state is set to happen Saturday, where he will encourage people to make a plan to vote. Governor Walz will take part in several political events across Las Vegas on Sunday. And tonight, Democrats have the spotlight on the battleground state of Michigan. They're hoping to add some star power to a rally in hopes of getting out the vote.
The people shouldn't be afraid to express their opinions. And I don't think anyone wants an America where people are worried about retribution or what people will do if you make your opinion known.
Those are some of the comments from rapper Eminem in Detroit tonight as he introduced former President Barack Obama. The pair teamed up to rally support for Vice President Harris. Tonight, the former president expressed the importance of voting in a swing state.
Let me tell you, your vote is going to matter. Because we know this election is going to be tight. And it's going to be tight because a lot of Americans are still struggling.
Earlier today, we spoke with TMZ about what celebrities like Eminem can really do for political candidates.
I think what it comes down to is celebrities have an ability to get people to commit to voting. And, I was going to sit on the couch this time, but hey, Eminem, he's talking about why this is an important election, or might it be Elon Musk on, the Trump side of things. And I think those people can possibly get people off of the couch and to the polling place to cast their vote. So I think it's not necessarily Americans deciding who to vote for based off of who their celebrity likes, but I think it's the participation in the election that probably is where they can make their real significant difference.
And this election, voters in the state of Arizona will be weighing in on a ballot measure that would enshrine abortion rights into the state's constitution. If this passes, Proposition 139 would allow abortions up until fetal viability, about the 24th week of pregnancy. Under current law, abortion is legal up until the 15th week of pregnancy. I spoke earlier with Samara Klar, a professor of political science at the University of Arizona, about how this debate has played out after Arizona's Supreme Court ushered in a near total abortion ban from 1864.
has really been the focal point for the abortion debate since Dobbs. We had what was known as a trigger law, meaning when Roe versus Wade was overturned, we reverted back to an old law that had banned abortion in the state of Arizona. And we've really gone back and forth a few times. Then after the pre-territorial ban was reinstated, there was a lot of uproar, not only among Democrats, also among Republicans, and the state legislature, which is Republican-led, then voted to replace it again with the 15-week ban. So it's really been a real roller coaster in Arizona. And, the primary outcome of that is abortion has been consistently in the news. It's been a very salient topic for voters for the last year or more. And abortion, advocates for reproductive rights are hoping that this ballot measure will pass and we can sort of put this debate to rest in Arizona.
All right. So what do the critics of this ballot measure argue here?
Well, the main arguments against it are that we currently have a 15-week ban. So many of the critics, those who are arguing against the ban, say that abortion is already legal in Arizona up until 15 weeks, so it's restricted. And that's not a tremendously unpopular position. There is a substantial portion of Arizona voters who feel that abortion should be restricted at some point. So the ban is over. We have this 15-week rule, and the opponents of the measure are hoping that the 15-week rule is sort of a compromise where we're allowing abortion only up until a certain point. But, polling indicates that there is broad support for the measure.
What are the thoughts about how having this abortion measure on the ballot in Arizona potentially affects the outcome of the presidential race there?
Sure. Well, you're right. It is a mobilizing issue for sure. What I found in the polling that I've done among Arizona voters is that a lot of voters, a strong majority of voters, say it's an extremely important issue. I find that individuals who favor reproductive rights are especially likely to say that it's an important issue to them. So they are probably especially likely to be voting on the basis of this measure. And whether or not it could determine the outcome of the election, honestly, in Arizona, anything could affect the outcome of the election. Joe Biden won this state by 0.36 percentage points. Now, listen, Arizona is a state that has more Republican voters than Democrats. If you look at our registration numbers, we have about 36% Republicans, about 30% Democrats. So there is an advantage for the Republicans. Republicans do historically win Arizona. They didn't in 2020 when Biden won. So it's a tough race for Harris. I mean, this is not going to be an easy state for her to win. But the polling is showing Harris and Trump completely deadlocked, a real tie here, and it has been for months. So abortion could be what pushes her over.
And voters in 4 West Coast states will be weighing in on the issue of abortion this November. Protection measures are on the ballot in Arizona, Nevada, Colorado, and Montana. Developing tonight, a deadly E. coli outbreak has been tied to McDonald's Quarter Pounder hamburgers. The CDC says nearly 50 people have been sickened across 10 states, including Colorado, Oregon, Utah, Wyoming, and Montana. One person has died in Colorado. All of the patients said they ate at McDonald's before getting sick. McDonald's has now removed the onions and patties used for Quarter Pounders from restaurants in affected states. The symptoms of E. coli infection include severe stomach cramps, diarrhea, and vomiting, and they usually start 3 to 4 days after swallowing the bacteria. Most people do recover without treatment. The CDC is urging anyone who's eaten a McDonald's Quarter Pounder and has symptoms to contact a doctor. We have an update on a story we continue following in Washington. A 15-year-old boy appeared in court earlier today, accused of killing 5 family members in the community of Fall City, east of Seattle. 2 adults and 3 children were found shot to death, and 1 child remains hospitalized tonight. As Fox 13's Alejandra Guzman tells us, the suspect is expected to face murder charges.
Anytime you have a scene with multiple homicides and allegations like this, it's very difficult for everybody. Not only, of course, the family and the community, but also the sheriff's office investigators and the prosecutors who responded to the scene.
It was only 24 hours ago we officially learned a family of 5 was killed inside a Lake Alice home in Fall City. King County deputies and neighboring agencies responding after a 911 call came from inside the home just before 5 a.m. Monday. Today, our Fox 13 drone got a first-hand look at the lakeside home where neighbors say the well-known family of 7 spent the entire summer outdoors. The homicide unit has been on site as investigators and detectives work to preserve the evidence. Meanwhile, prosecutor John Castleton going before a King County judge asking the court to find probable cause for the 5 murders and the attempted murder of another teen. The defense arguing they've only received 1 page on the allegations against the 15-year-old. They also argued for his name not to be released. The judge ruling in their favor.
Given the limited information that we have in the short amount of time, we are deferring to the court regarding probable cause.
I understand. Based on the allegations contained in the super form that's in front of the court, I do find probable cause for the count sought.
The state is asking that the court hold Mr. based on a finding that he is a threat to community safety.
We want the court to know that there's a 15-year-old boy who enjoys mountain biking and fishing.
The 15-year-old will be held in custody until he is charged. Prosecutors reiterate he has no criminal history.
That's unusual to see these kinds of allegations with no previous contact with the prosecutor's office, but that's what we have here.
Prosecutors are anticipating to charge the teen on Thursday, and he's expected to be back in court on Friday. Now, it's still unclear if he's going to be charged as an adult. Prosecutors say it all depends on what they can prove here in court. Tonight, though, there is a vigil planned for the families, the victims of this terrible tragedy. That's happening tonight from 5 to 7 at the United Methodist Church in Fall City. There's options for those who want to pay their respects in other ways. Alejandra Guzman, Fox 13 News.
Coming up tonight on West Coast Wrap, some scary moments on board a moving bus in Colorado. Everything captured on camera as a passenger has to take over the wheel. We'll break down what forced that quick action. Plus,
before I know it, I was swept off into this.
a sheriff swamped by floodwaters in New Mexico is hoping you will learn from his ordeal. See how he recorded those very dangerous moments as he was on patrol.
And a live look here at a beautiful San Francisco as we are settling into a nice cool evening. A better look at what we can expect for the West coming up.
Your bus driver is having a seizure. I am parking the bus.
A quick-thinking passenger in Colorado Springs took control of a public bus when the driver suffered a medical emergency. Video captured two people rushing to the front of the bus as soon as they noticed what happened to the driver. One of those passengers quickly steered the bus and brought it to a stop. Unfortunately, the city transit agency says the driver of that bus eventually died. An update tonight on the two Phoenix police officers who were involved in a confrontation with a deaf man. The interim police chief says officers Ben Harris and Kyle Sue have been placed on paid administrative leave. Police body camera video shows the officers punching and tasing Tyrone McAlpin back in August. Investigators say the officers mistook McAlpin for a suspect in a crime. They also say McAlpin is deaf and could not hear the officers' commands. All of the charges against McAlpin have now been dropped. He did spend 24 days behind bars in jail before the police body camera video could be reviewed. The officers involved in the arrest are now on paid administrative leave as Phoenix's Professional Standards Bureau investigates the arrest. Tonight, we're now seeing body camera footage of a San Francisco man being tased by an officer. Tonight, that man remains in a coma as his family has filed a federal lawsuit. Down! Authorities say an East Bay Regional Park officer tased 35-year-old Deontay Faison at the Martin Luther King Jr. Regional Shoreline in Oakland back in April. The family's attorney says Faison jumped into the water after being questioned over expired car tags. He was tased in the back as he tried to swim away. The lawsuit alleges the father of two was left struggling in the water for over 30 minutes until he lost consciousness, and that the use of tasers in the water violates officer training. Attorneys representing Alameda County denied the claims, and the Park District would not comment on that lawsuit. A Los Angeles City Council candidate is under fire tonight after a leaked audio recording caught her using an expletive to criticize police. Isabel Jurado is a tenants' rights attorney running for the council seat in District 14. The leaked audio came from an October 7th meeting with Cal State LA students where she was asked about her current stance on police. Jurado can be heard saying, "What's the rap verse?" followed by the expletive. Some constituents say they found the statement shocking.
When you're elected to office, you have a duty to represent all people in fairness and respect.
Jurado defended her comment in a lawsuit, saying she quoted a lyric that's been part of a larger conversation on systemic injustice and police accountability, and that it was simply that, a lyric.
I am completely surrounded by water at this time. So, as you can see down here, that is the side of my truck.
The sheriff in Chavez County, New Mexico, is hoping video he posted online will teach everyone an important lesson about the dangers of venturing out during severe weather. Sheriff Mike Harrington recorded what happened to him on Sunday as flash flooding swamped his truck.
I know it. I was swept off into this. Multiple vehicles have been swept away as well. It's shaking just a little bit because it's a little bit chilly out here, but I am sitting on top of my vehicle, and a couple people who were walking through the water came and sat here with me.
Sheriff Harrington was eventually rescued and he was not hurt. He says his experience should serve as a reminder that it's best to stay indoors during storms like that one. Nearly 6 inches of rain fell on the town of Roswell, New Mexico on Sunday. 2 people died in the flooding and dozens of others were taken to hospitals. Let's talk more about our weather all across the West and bring in KTVU meteorologist Rosemary Orozco, who can tell us what's next as we move through the work week. Rosemary?
Yes, Alex. From New Mexico to California, all the way up to Alaska, a fairly active weekend for many, but we have since gone fairly quiet, at least for most areas. Here's a live look, or I should say a look of Seattle earlier today. Mostly cloudy skies, but a dry day for Seattle. We had 57 degrees, so a little bit cool. We are into fall after all. Meanwhile, a view over San Francisco, where we had partly cloudy skies and temperatures ranging in the upper 60s today, very much seasonal. As we take our eyes towards the desert Southwest, another hot day in Phoenix at 95. Areas over Sacramento in the city, city's state capital there, Sacramento, 78 degrees. As we get into the days ahead, temperatures are going to warm up slightly over California as a ridge is going to remain in place. Temperatures are cooling off at this hour, this time of year. We're growing with the nighttime hours and the daytime hours are shrinking. Seattle reporting 50 degrees at this time. It's still a warm one in Phoenix, though, at 87. Let's talk about the setup expected for tomorrow. Again, a little bit of a ridge over most of the state of California, as well as areas over Arizona and the southern half of Nevada. This moisture is going to actually create the possibility of more rain and snow over parts of the Pacific Northwest as it taps into a low that is parked off the Pacific Northwest for tomorrow. Here's a look at the forecast in the afternoon. The shades of pink indicating some high elevation snow, and we have scattered showers over areas of Oregon as well as areas over Seattle and into, it looks like, Boise, Idaho. By the evening hours, it is pushing through areas of Idaho and into Montana. Meanwhile, the rest of the state is going to be dry, and the extended forecast for the outlook on rainfall pretty much sticks to the northern half of the country there. You can see areas from the Bay Area south into Los Angeles and over towards Arizona, as well as the southern edge of Nevada, including Las Vegas, look to be fairly dry over the next week or so. Meanwhile, for tomorrow, temperatures ranging from low 70s in San Francisco to low 80s in Los Angeles. Going to be a hot one in Phoenix. We've got temperatures nearing 100 degrees still this time of year. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Meanwhile, into the Pacific Northwest we go, where temperatures are going to be cool, it's going to be cloudy, and the possibility of scattered showers there as well. Alex?
All right, Rosemary, thank you. Rapper A$AP Rocky is set to go to trial in January on charges he fired a gun at a former friend in Hollywood. Prosecutors say that shooting happened outside of a hotel in 2021. The Grammy-nominated rapper has pleaded not guilty to 2 felony counts of assault with a firearm. A$AP Rocky was originally set to face trial next month. Defense attorneys asked for a delay because the entertainer is set to headline a November music festival in Thailand. He could receive up to 24 years in prison if he's convicted on all charges. Up next tonight here on West Coast Wrap, an explosion rocks a Utah apartment complex and dozens of people can't go home tonight. What investigators are saying about that blast. Also tonight, the federal government has a plan to help you trust online reviews. What's being done to weed out false claims. Two people are hurt and 90 residents are temporarily displaced in Lehi, Utah, after what police are calling a suspicious explosion at an apartment building. It happened just after 4 o'clock this morning. The explosion affected the complex's sprinkler system, leading to water damage in several apartments. Investigators still trying to determine what caused the explosion in one of the units. The couple in that apartment were treated for minor injuries. The Red Cross says they're ready to support the people who are not able to return to their homes.
American Red Cross has volunteers that are on standby 24/7, 365 a year for this type of event. Whether it's a small home fire or a major event, we stand ready.
It's still unclear tonight how long it's going to take to fix the water damage and the sprinkler system at that complex. The federal government is taking some new steps to help Americans feel secure with their online purchases. Fox's Jared Halpern tells us how they're working to ban fake ads in cyberspace.
We must be clear-eyed and vigilant about the threats emerging from emerging technologies.
Have you ever bought something online based on a review, only to find the product isn't as advertised? It happens to millions of Americans each year, and now the Federal Trade Commission is trying to make it a thing of the past. On Tuesday, an FTC rule came into effect banning the use of fake online reviews. The agency says it's hoping to restore consumer trust in online shopping.
Who's training them? What's the source of the data? And until we know those things, it's going to be very hard for somebody, I think, to rely on them.
The rule was first announced back in August that essentially criminalizes the sale or purchase of online reviews, targeting fake reviews written by so-called bots, people who don't really exist, and bans reviews created by artificial intelligence, an area where the law has been scrambling to keep up with technology.
The FTC has failed to keep pace with dramatic shifts in technology and data-driven business practices.
And the FTC says this is just the first step as it revamps its efforts to protect Americans from getting cheated, with lawmakers applauding the move as the best way to promote fair, honest, and competitive online markets.
Vulnerable consumers who have been defrauded by scammers deserve an enforcer with a fulsome toolbox to protect them.
Under the new rule, the FTC's maximum penalty for publishing a fake review is a fine of $51,000. In Washington, Jared Halpern, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
And that does it for West Coast Wrap tonight. We appreciate you watching as always. And a reminder, before we go, you can stay up to date on all the important stories we're covering across the West Coast at our website. That is westcoastwrap.com. We will see you back here tomorrow night. Have a great night.